Hi there, welcome back. This is part two to the love letter to Mturk requesters, so we're going to dive right in. So first, pay to screen us or use Mturk qualifications where possible. So unpaid screeners are negative. We don't like it. As I said before, it does waste our time if it's completely unpaid. Even if you have, say, 3 questions that you want to make sure that we fit the demographic, pay, a couple of cents for it, pay 10, 15 cents or whatever. The more you diminish the pool of people to make sure that's exactly the demographic you want, the better responses you as a requester is going to get. It'll actually, in the end, pay dividends itself. Just having a simple screener, paying a little bit of money, and then explaining what the payment terms of the hit will be if you are eligible for it. Um, you can do that using a paid screener, pay us, and then take all the people that qualify and give them a qualification and go from there. Or Mturk does have qualifications built in, and they're things like did you graduate high school? Do you have a master's? Do you have a bachelor's? What type of phone do you have? Do you have an iPhone or an Android? So on the requester side, there's a bunch of those type qualifications that Mturk maintains themselves. So you can use those as well. But the idea, a lot of people are turned off by screeners that don't pay anything. So you're better off planning on paying less in the actual survey by narrowing down your pool to begin with. On the topic of qualifications, use qualifications to prevent retakes and enforce your demographics. So if you don't want people to take your survey again, please, please, please put a qualification together and give the people who have already taken it that qualification. Because we cannot tell out of all the surveys we take, if we took your survey 2 months ago and you don't want us to retake it, you're leaving it up to us, and that's very, very difficult to discern. So what will happen on your end is that a lot of people will either retake it and not realize, which won't be valuable, or they'll shy away from it even though they might not have taken it. So again, you're not getting the people that you want to take your survey. But using qualifications is important. Do not use blocks. Blocks hurt the Turkers' accounts. Only use blocks when you've received very poor work or consistently poor work or something like that. Don't use blocks. Only use qualifications for workers that you want to see come back, okay? Because it does hurt our account to have numerous blocks, especially when they're just related to survey retakes and not blocks are a sort of a comment on the quality of work for the most part. Qualifications are not. Um, on another topic, Turkers use scripts and it isn't against the terms of service. So there are scripts that help us find work, help us accept work, help us provide us with a dashboard to see what is dropping at any given time in terms of hits. All of those type of actions are not against Amazon's terms of service. What is against Amazon's terms of service is completing any hit using a bot or a script of any sort. I know there's people out there that use scripts, like scraping scripts and things like that, where they kind of scrape the data and put it into a form that's part of the hit. They believe that's not against the terms of service, and they're entitled to that opinion. My basic opinion is that it is against the terms of service if you're completing the hit in any way using a script or a bot. I My viewpoint on MTurk is to have it be accessible to the average person, and most people aren't able to write scripts on the fly that you can use to take advantage of one batch that drops, once a week or doesn't drop multiple times. It's just not achievable for the average Turker. So we can use them to accept and find work, but we cannot, and I just recommend you don't use them to complete the actual hits. And that's my 2 cents on that. But some requesters seem to think that any script use is a problem, and that's not really true. If you Depending on how you read the terms of service, I think it's pretty clear, but other people interpret it other ways. But it is not generally against the terms of service. Rejections. Don't reject us unless it's absolutely necessary. meaning we provided you very poor work. We clearly didn't read directions. We missed some attention checks, and you don't have an email from us saying that there was a problem with the attention checks. If you reject us because your survey did not generate a code and therefore we gave you our um, Turker ID instead of the code you were looking for, that's your fault. That's not our fault. We can try to email you to resolve the situation, but if you only give us a survey that's 30 minutes, that hits 30 minutes or 60 minutes in duration, that really takes the time down unless you're sitting there waiting for us to email you. So rejecting when it's an issue, a technical issue, is really frowned upon. It's again going to make it so people do not want to do work for you in the future. Rejections really hurt the Turkers accounts because one qualification is your approval rating. Generally, over 99% is what people strive for. Uh, I can tell you that probably about half of my 113 rejections on my account are what I call unfair rejections. They're when prompted, the requester couldn't tell me what I had actually done wrong. It was a telling me the codes didn't match, things like that. So I think that not rejecting unless you absolutely have to is just a courtesy. Of course, if the work is very poor and it's quite obvious, definitely. But there are a bunch of scenarios where requesters have had issues on their end and just scrapped the work, and they went ahead and just you know re- rejected everybody, and then just and that's it. So please, please, if anything, I beg you, don't reject lightly. It does affect our ability to get other work, and it affects our ability to make money. So and lastly, if you've made the mistake of rejecting people and you're getting backlash, or you're finding that people are not doing your work because they're afraid of rejections, which is valid for a Turker to be worried about getting rejections. Rejections can be reversed within, I think it's 30 days of the hit being submitted. So if I would really be willing to do a video on that for requesters if they want to learn how to reverse the rejections. And I'm thinking as I'm talking here, at a minimum, I think I'll do one that's geared towards the Turkers that they can then send to the requesters to help them with reversing rejections. But you absolutely can. Amazon does not have to do it. You have to do it. Amazon will not do it. Please don't tell Turkers that you're going to contact Amazon, because we as Turkers know that that is a big hole to nowhere. So absolutely, I am thinking I will put that video out so we can just send them that video and tell the requesters what they need to do. But rejections can be reversed, so those mistakes can be righted if the situation calls for it. So that's, I think, my list. I actually slid a few more in there as I was talking because my mind is like running with issues that I've run into over the 5 years of Turking. But if you have anything that annoys you, you want me to talk about, definitely leave a comment and let me know. As always, I really appreciate your feedback, and